All right, guys. Well, welcome back to Full Circle with Joyce. And time now for our final segment of the day. And we want to talk about schools reopening. And I'm asking parents to let us know how they're feeling about this whole thing, as well as students as well. Are you anxious and keen to get back to school? Of course, there's been a lot of announcements now about schools reopening, and it's been received with a lot of mixed reactions. Well, my guest in studio here today, I have with me Jane Mwangi, who's the head of Secretariat of the Kenya Association of International Schools. Karibu sana to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
You're most welcome. All right, so schools reopening. I like that you're chuckling about it as well. How do you feel about it?
I'm happy, very happy, but not because of the misunderstood notion that private schools, we need school fees and everything. I'm happy because education for us as a country is not just about a child going through the motions and exiting at some stage. School solves a lot of societal issues. There are those who live in school because they cannot live at home. There are those who, for school is a safe place. And then there are those who, for what can we call them, retrogressive cultural practices, school is it. So I'm happy because we may be able to recover some of our learners.
Okay.
You know, on a normal day, say, let me just do the one, because I saw the CS talking about pregnancy. Let me do the one for pregnancy. Before COVID, you know, normal Kenyan living, normal life. The kids we'd lose to pregnancy, we'd only recover 2% of them.
Okay.
Post-COVID or a mid-COVID, I don't know what that will look like. So it is more than just a school reopening. It is life-saving.
Sure.
Yep.
Are we ready, though, is the biggest question. I mean, considering it's not that COVID has disappeared.
No.
I know Kenyans have kind of just decided, Maze, peace out, we're done. But the fact is, COVID is still here.
Yes.
We still have a lot of issues to deal with. So the biggest question is, are we ready?
What can I, let me be frank. As someone who sat on that committee and who's done education for a little while. If readiness means, can we achieve social distance? The answer is no, and this has been admitted. And that is why we could not risk reopening schools when the infection curve was going up. We had to wait for it to start flattening and going down to reopen schools, because we are a very young country. We have how many? 16 million learners in school, and we only have 30,000 something primary schools, maybe 10,000 secondary schools. We are not enough. We cannot achieve social distance. And then there are the private schools that have had to close. So we cannot achieve that, but we can mask.
Okay.
And can the government afford to buy masks for every learner? No. But what they've done is negotiated a price. So say at Rivertex, the mask is 35 bob. At Kikotech, the mask is, I think, 39 bob. And the most schools are charging is 100 bob for 2 masks. Okay. So it is that season. It is the Ubuntu season of this pandemic where we work together. But if we are saying we will wait for COVID to end to reopen, that's not going to happen.
Sure. What do you say, though, to the ones who say that because of reopening, we might see that curve begin to climb back up because of what you're saying, that we cannot achieve social distancing?
The thing is, even the curve will go up. I mean, we are not unique. We will be like every other country in the world. You reopen, the more you reopen, the more cases go up. It's just the thing. You reopen the economy, people are the ones that move this virus, right? So it will go up. The beauty with this is that science doesn't lie. Children who are very, very young are showing immunity, and when they get sick, they're mostly asymptomatic. So the people we need to protect are the teachers and the grown-ups. And if we can't achieve social distancing, we can mask and we can wash our hands. We can do our very best to work with what we've got.
Right.
So yes, will it spread? Yes.
Okay.
Can we slow it by doing other things like washing hands and wearing masks? Yes.
Well, let's talk about things like school fees. How is that going to, I know schools obviously keen to open up, and it's not just for school fees, as you've mentioned. There's many other factors, societal, cultural, that reopening schools would be addressing, maybe even mental, right, and psychological. But then, how are we going to cater for all this, considering I know there are parents who have either been laid off or they've had their salaries significantly reduced? Are there any sort of adjustments being made as far as that's concerned? Are we expecting to see a regular school day? Is this, are there discussions like those as far as it's maybe at some point reducing the hours? Or
maybe I can take it from three in a three-pronged approach.
Okay.
Let me start with my sector, which is international schools. We weren't closed. Our schools were closed, but learning continued. We were able to transition learning to online platforms. So for us, what we are opening up is in-person learning. At the same time, we had final exams. And so even before 12th, we had students in school who were sitting those exams. The world did not end, Joyce. Imagine that. Anyway, the world did not end, though all bells and whistles were put out.
Right.
Inspection by both NEC and the ministry was, it was a lot, sometimes daily, just to see what happens. That's us. So in-person learning for international schools will be really just a hybrid.
Right.
So in-person will buttress what was going on virtually.
Okay.
So we will not see a full school day, except maybe for final years if it is necessary.
Okay.
So it is those activities that cannot be done virtually, that will be done in school. And again, you talked about psychosocial support. That's a real thing. We have to open up that door. Now, for private 844 schools.
Right, because the experience of international students
is somewhat,
kids in international schools, very different.
We'll discuss that one day. But for private national curriculum, which is 844 and CBC, amongst private institutions, they were the hardest hit because you see the academic year was suspended for them. So even if you were doing online classes, maybe you charge for those, but you're not charging for the term. Your overheads, though, remain the same. And you have to find a way to maintain these teachers for an eventual opening. So it has not been easy. And in the midst of this pandemic, I think we've had to close down over 150 schools. So there are about 54,000 to 60,000 students who their schools were closed. So they'll have to go either to another private school or to a public school.
Which already don't have space.
We will also get to that. So there is that.
Okay.
And then there is also the misconception that private schools look like my sector, international schools or high-cost private schools, the Lukenyas or Makinis. But the bulk of private schools are informal. The small school you find in Kibra or in Gando, those are the majority of private schools.
Okay.
Did they have the financial muscle to survive COVID? No. So a lot of them are struggling too. And so they will go through the motions of public schools where they cannot achieve social distance. They will ask the students to mask and so on and so forth. Okay. Now, the only way, they do not receive money from government, they don't receive capitation. So the only way they can do any of this is to charge for school fees. But through their association, the Kenya Private Schools Association, we work closely together through KEPSA. What they've done is agreed that where they can, they will not charge the terms fees. Okay. They'll do the pro rata for the 11 weeks, just to try and cushion parents, because we all understand it's been devastating. And also we will try across the board, whether international or national curriculum, to have discussions with our parents so that people can stagger payments. Can we do without the school fees, Joyce? No. But we can stagger payments, we can agree. So what we are urging parents is go talk to your school. Do not, there'll be no blanket. For private schools, we can't do a blanket pronouncement. You have to come with your particular set of circumstances.
Sure.
But I promise you that the proprietors of private schools are listening.
Okay.
The same thing with public secondary boarding schools where, you know, charges usually apply. I think the CS pleaded with us. It's gotten to that point where we are pleading with each other. Yes, so he pleaded with us and we listened. And we are Kenyan too. All we are saying is, can we work together? There is no big bad devil in the room. The big bad devil is COVID.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I think I have about 5 minutes left, but I want us to take a step back to what you mentioned, which might be of concern to quite a number watching the show even, about capacity to social distance, as we've discussed, will be quite limited at this point. But now to these schools, private schools that have had to actually shut down in this time, 150 or so of them, many of which I assume are actually within the informal settlement areas, some of them. What are the proposals as far as to handle that overflow?
We are going to have to discuss education. The beauty with COVID is that it laid bare a situation, which is good, because we need to talk about education. Like I said, we are a very young country. There are 16 million children, very few primary. If you compare that number with the primary schools and the secondary schools we have, we are not enough, so we need more. So it is time we actually had a very candid discussion around public-private partnerships in education. It is time we agreed to, you know, expand the meaning of education. In this period, I've seen people innovate. There's a school, I think, in Muthaiga called The Vale, and they are doing this education in a box. So if you cannot take your child to school, they send you this pack, and your child can work with that pack, and you send it back to school, and it's very subsidized. You know, it's very subsidized if you cannot afford to go back to your private school, and so on and so forth. So what we need more, and we need I don't know if I can say this on TV.
I also don't know what it is, so I'm a bit nervous. But
No, nothing vulgar.
Okay.
We need to work on our nonsense as Kenyans.
Yeah.
And I say that with a lot of respect.
What does that
We
mean?
need to work together and hold our leaders accountable. If next year it comes to the school in your area has to do a shift system to achieve social distancing, can we not make it tribal? Can we not find the list and say, hey, no, all these kids are this certain tribe, they're the only ones going to school, you know? If we could just work together in this season and eliminate our usual nonsense and work with the science, so that we stop demonizing schools, we stop demonizing the ministry, everybody is trying to do the best they can.
Right.
And we be absolutely honest with each other, then perhaps we can get over the pandemic.
Okay.
And we demand better as Kenyans from our leaders.
As we absolutely should.
Yeah, so
I
that
think,
if CDF, instead of doing the random classroom it does now, can it expand the secondary school, the day secondary school in the village?
Right.
So that more children go there rather than go to, you know, boarding.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, certainly, as you've said, COVID has laid bare quite a lot of challenges for us in this country, education being forefront among them. And it makes me think of a lot of different promises that have been made in this country that have not come into fruition, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yes, of course.
Jane Wange, I want to thank you so much for coming onto the show today. And I think just giving us the perspective too that this is beyond school fees. It's beyond, you know, teachers wanting to get back to what they're doing. There's a lot of different social and cultural implications that go around this as well. But even to the point about, let's just give each other grace. We're all trying to figure this out at the same time. So thank you very much for coming. And I don't know if you want to share your contact details as far as how people can keep up with what more of you guys are doing, if that's possible, or if there are any other activities you'd want the public to be engaged with or aware of.
Actually, if you do want to help keep schools open, find a way to donate masks. That would be fantastic.
Right.
Find the school in your locality where parents are completely unable to afford the 100 bob. It happens.
Right.
Yeah, and donate the mask. You don't have to, like I say, they're available at Rivertex at 35 bob.
Right.
Find a way to donate those. If you have sanitizer, donate that.
Great.
It is the Ubuntu season of the pandemic, so we all do what we can.
Okay.
Yes.
Great.
Thank
Well
you.
said. Well
All
said.
right.
Thank you very much for that. All right, guys, my time is up. I do need to wrap up now. But just before I go, let me remind you that IHTI's innovative quest has always kept them ahead of the pack. They are welcoming you rather to get trained with the industry's leading institution. Their growth has been proven over time by their consistency to keep it real and on top. Intake is ongoing, and for more information, simply log on to www.ihti.net. You could also call 0728 787 088. That's IHTI, the Professionals Club. Thank you guys so much for your company today. Thank you to all of my guests. I think it's been a great start to Monday and the brand new week. Let's meet here tomorrow for even more Full Circle with Joyce. Until then, God bless you and see you soon. Ciao.